it's interesting because I kind of feel like Elon is maybe a little bit like we are, which is that, you kind of keep everybody at a distance, but once you're in, like you're really in, and I kind of feel like he's a bit the same way from just watching how this whole relationship developed with my father-in-law. But yeah, look, I think that to have a brilliant mind like Elon Musk as part of your team, part of the transition, and obviously Doge coming up.
Yeah.
I think that, look, we're approaching what I believe is probably the most transformational period in America since our inception.
It's a crazy world, crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you.
So when you look at this wide tent thing with RFK and Tulsi and just this whole new crew of people, I mean, Tulsi literally ran as a Dem 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Bobby was a Democrat less than a year ago. I mean, this is the thing that for me, my entire career has been about, like, how do you take these lefties like me and show them that the Republicans aren't mean and evil and they don't hate gays and they don't just want money and love war and like this entire thing. So what would you say is the descriptor of the thing that now your father-in-law represents? Like, what is this new thing? Because it's not the old Republican Party anymore.
No. Well, I mean, a lot of people call it, the MAGA Party, America First Party, but I really think it's the first step to unity. I really do. And I know that that's like mind-boggling for some people to think of Donald Trump as being able to do that. But you're already seeing that happen with the coalition of people who formed around him. And it wasn't like he went out there and had to really hustle to get them to be part of the team. These are people who they themselves saw the power of what he could potentially do and why joining forces with him was such an important move. And I think that it's such an incredible historic time. I think that that's one of the things that, you're right, a lot of people probably came over and voted for him because of that. But I do think if I had to describe it in one word, I think it's the beginning of unity in this country. Do
you think a lot of that just comes from New York? That he's a New Yorker and built things in New York, and he was always around different people, and that it's why he's not afraid to be around Bobby and suddenly be like, oh, this guy thinks a few different things of me. Like, that's New York.
Well, that's certainly part of it. Yeah. But look, I think what I experienced and what I saw happen the first term for him and the first go around of things was that there were all these political experts who would come in and they would say, sir, you can't pick this person because this person believes this one thing and that goes against the Republican standard and that's how we have to operate and you can't do that. And he was kind of like, I don't know, I like that person, but you're the political expert here, not me, so I'm going to go along with what you say. Now that doesn't exist anymore for him. Now he's saying, I don't care. I really don't care what any of these experts think. I'm the person in charge now. I know what I need. I know how to be successful. And if you think about it, look, Donald Trump ran such a successful company for so long. If you look at his companies, his businesses, and, oftentimes he's able to identify talent even when people don't see it within themselves. I would put myself in that category, to be honest with you. But if you look at the Trump organization, some of the top executives, the people who've been there the longest, started out in very unlikely places. They were his drivers, doormen, security guards. And he gave them these opportunities that I don't think anyone else would have. But he would say, I could see you doing these great things. In much the same way, I think he's identifying the talent right now for his cabinet, for his administration, the way that Donald Trump always has. And he no longer needs to listen to the political class anymore. He's the expert himself now, and he's going to do the things he knows are necessary.
How worried were you that had the result gone the other way, that your family was going to just take irreparable harm? Like, whether that means literally him being in jail, Eric and Don's businesses destroyed, God knows what they could have done for all of your careers and everything else. Like, how much was that like looming large for you guys?
Well, I think it was always very, very much present in our minds. But I don't think you could focus on those things. At least I tried not to. I always felt like, and maybe this is the wrong way to be, but maybe I'm an optimist, generally speaking. I always felt like that the light was going to shine in the dark places, that the truth would ultimately come out. And I really had to continue to believe that, because you're right. The thought of what may have been, and there's no doubt what these people were trying to do to us. I mean, to my father-in-law, but anybody associated. And look, you go back to the 2016 campaign, the Russia collusion hoax, the damage that did to so many people. These are people who, you know, you don't make a lot of money being on a presidential campaign. People are there because they love politics. They love to be a part of it. And they got their lives destroyed because of a hoax, because of a lie that was perpetrated by initially the DNC and the Clinton campaign. But then, of course, the mainstream media just blew it up. When do those people get their lives back? You know, I still will say that so much damage was done that never gets discussed. So there's no doubt that was a possibility for all of us as well. But, you know, I continued to remain optimistic. I think our whole family did, because I don't think you can focus on those things. Otherwise, it kind of is all consuming and you can't actually be functional. Otherwise.
Yeah, I heard somebody, we played a clip of it. Somebody, like right before the election on one of the podcasts, he did ask him basically that question. And he was like, well, I just don't think about it. I thought, well, in some ways that sounds very short-sighted. In the other way, it's probably literally the only way you could do it.
It's about a self-preservation thing, I believe, actually. Yeah, for sure.
And it did kind of work. So here we are. How pleased are you that the mainstream media, which in many ways it's been a love-hate relationship with your father-in-law, right? Because they've clearly hated him and they said he was Hitler and everything else, but they loved him for ratings. But how pleased are you guys that it seems very clear now that the ascendancy of the online media has completely eclipsed them at this point.
Well, they deserve it.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, they deserve it.
As I always say, it couldn't happen to a more deserving group.
Yeah. They asked for all of it and they got all of it.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't think the American people were as gullible and dumb ultimately as they thought that they would be. And when you do have all these alternative sources for information, when you feel like, or it is proven that you have been lied to by these people you're supposed to trust, I think it's natural. People are like, well, we got to find something else here. And gosh, the ratings and all of it. Yeah, I mean, I would say you love to see it, but I don't wish ill on anyone, despite probably how they feel about all of us. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're going to keep coming no matter what. They always will exist, one or another, but I just think less and less people will.
Yeah, no one cares anymore. And that's a nice thing. It's good. Look, it's good. All of the things that have happened, the real shock of the numbers in this election, the popular vote, which they said Donald Trump will never get the popular vote. He won all of these things and he bucked the system so much that it did need a reset. And I believe we're in that moment in time. I believe there's this huge reset that's happened politically. You're right. What was the counterculture? We are now like, this is it. This is the place you want to be in the Republican Party. It's a really amazing time. And I always say, forget my proximity to all of it. Just to be alive right now and to have experienced all that this country has, all that we have politically, it's a really, really incredible thing to say. We got to live through the Trump era.
It really does. I mean, I've been saying this for a while, and I hope I'm right. Like, I sense an 80s boom coming.
Yeah.
I think there's been enough damage to the calcified system that we are suddenly going to have a burst of creativity and economic growth and everything else in this country. Like, it's going to feel like the 80s again, which for people roughly our age will be pretty damn great. It will be pretty great.
It's great. It's great for us and it's great for the rest of the world, honestly, because, you know, and people obviously know this, but when you're the superpower of the world, you've got to lead and you've got to be on the forefront of everything. And look, Elon Musk is saying he's sending somebody to Mars by the end of Donald Trump's term in office. So there's so much, though, that I think can happen and I believe will happen. You're right. This is just, I mean, the golden age of America. Donald Trump always says it. I think we're going to be there.
What do you make of the Elon portion of this? Because you guys are a pretty tight group, and obviously it's basically a family affair, and then there's the other cast of characters. But Elon suddenly, I mean, there was even a picture
with our family.
where it said, who posted the picture? It was like the Trump family.
I think it was Kai, my niece.
Right, so it's your niece, and then it's all of you guys, and then Elon and one of his kids. It's kind of funny, like he basically is in, it seems.
He is, and it's interesting because I kind of feel like Elon is maybe a little bit like we are, which is that, you know, you kind of keep everybody at a distance, but once you're in, like you're really in, you know? And I kind of feel like he's a bit the same way from just watching how this whole relationship developed with my father-in-law. But yeah, look, I think that to have a brilliant mind like Elon Musk as part of your team, part of the transition, and obviously Doge coming up.
Yeah.
I think that, look, we're approaching what I believe is probably the most transformational period in America since our inception, since the birth of this country. And I think you have to give a lot of credit to Elon Musk. Look, had he not bought Twitter, where would we be right now? Would we even be having a conversation about Donald Trump winning? Like what would be happening?
Probably not.
No, honestly. And so I think he's been really important to all of this. And we like to have him on the team. We like to have good people on our team. Yeah. What can I tell you?
It's just hilarious to me. It's like the same people who think that the world is going to end in 6 years because of climate change also now hate the guy that wants life to go interplanetary. Yeah. It's like, guys,
you can't make it up. But I kind of feel bad for them. Like, if you're still bought into this right now, I feel sad for you. You just must really want a miserable existence and just constantly need to find something to be upset about.
Misery loves company.
Yeah.
That's why they're constantly bitching and moaning about everything. America, listen up. The world's getting more unpredictable by the day. Political insanity, rumors of civil war, an unstable stock market, and now the looming threat of a new global health emergency. Did you know there's a bird flu summit? It's eerily reminiscent of Event 201 that foreshadowed the COVID pandemic. And get this, the first topic on the agenda is mass fatality management planning. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what would. But here's the good news. You don't have to be scared if you're prepared. The wellness company created the medical emergency kit, and every home in America should have at least one of these. They're packed with life-saving meds like ivermectin, amoxicillin, and even a Z-Pack. And it's all backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough. Imagine this, no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency waiting rooms, just a few clicks, and this kit is delivered right to your front door. In times like these, having the medical emergency kit is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. Protect your family by preparing now. Head over to twc.health/Rubin and use code Rubin to save $45. Don't wait until it's too late. Act now, take control, and ensure you're protected against whatever comes next. That's twc.health/Rubin. Use code Rubin to save $45. Free shipping. If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop screaming, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.